everyone, I'm Jodi and welcome to my channel. I'm really glad that you're here today, and if you're struggling with your eyebrows, you're going to be really glad that you stopped by today too. We are going to go through a deep dive in less than 20 minutes on how to do your eyebrows. Now, you've probably seen different tutorials on how to do eyebrows, but we're going to take it a step further. The difference between a DIY makeup eyebrow application and a MUA professional makeup application. And the difference starts with having the right shape of an eyebrow based on the shape of your face. Yes, that's a thing. So we're going to look at there's 5 different shape faces. We're going to take a look at each one of them and then which type of eyebrow shapes are most complementary on that shaped face. That's a lot to say, but it's also a lot to get in, but we're going to do it in less than 20 minutes. We're also going to take a look at what is the toolkit that you need for your eyebrows for any eyebrow application. And then we're going to do our eyebrows together. Then we're going to set them for all day or all night. No judgment here. And then at the very end, I'm going to give you a final tip that you're going to want to make sure that you don't miss to keep your eyebrows and your whole makeup application looking just the way you want. And I've heard a lot of women say that the one thing they won't go out without, is their eyebrows done. So if you are that person, then you've probably got this routine down. And guys, let's face it, eyebrows are important. It's an important step that I know a lot of times I will do my eyebrows off camera just because it can take some time, but it doesn't have to. So stay tuned, we're gonna get into all things eyebrows. So the first thing that we have to do to get the best look for our brows is identify what shape is our face. Now this is an exercise that you've probably gone through for a variety of other makeup applications, whether it's where to put contour, where do you want to put your highlighter and things like that. For me, I'm more of a rectangle shaped face, so I'm definitely more long than I am wide. If your face is more round, then you're going to want to create length to the face by adding an arch to the brow, keeping the brow soft and slightly curved. You're going to want to avoid round or highly arched brows or flat brows. If your face is more square, then you're going to want to create height through the arch of the brow. Creating a longer brow will elongate and add width to the face, and you're going to want to avoid flat or overly arched brows. If your face is more oval, then oval faces can really suit a variety of shapes, but you'll want to try to keep the brow line soft and avoid an arch brow. But lengthening it, a softer brow, or even a more flat brow will all be appealing on an oval shaped face. If you have a rectangle shaped face more like I do, then you're going to want to create a longer brow to add width to the face. Keep brows angular and avoid keeping the brows too close together. And lastly, if you have a heart-shaped face, then you're going to want to add height to the center of the brow, keeping it soft and slightly curved, and avoid round or flat brows. So now that we know what shape our face is, we can then start to define how we want our brows to look. Now, in terms of more permanent solutions, there are a couple things on the market that you can think about. One is brow serum. How do I grow my brows? Because most of us overplucked them. I know I did in our younger years. In fact, I just read an article recently that first thicker brows were coming back for 2022, and now thin brows are becoming more appealing to the younger crowd. And if we could only tell our younger self, don't do it. But when you're in your 20s, you kind of have to go through these cycles, and all things come back and cycle again. So you may see a thinner brow coming back on, the 20 and 30-year-olds. I will not be partaking. I've done that trend and it did not pay off in years later. So I would never tell somebody younger to not do it. That's the fun part about being in your 20s and 30s is you get to experiment and try fun new trends and see what looks good on you, what you like then, you may not like later, so you have to try it. But I'm going to stick with the trend that is now in for more mature eyes, which is a bushier brow. So there is growth serums on the market for a more natural organic growth serum that has had yielded results. In fact, my sister uses this for her eyebrows and her eyelashes, is castor oil, and that has really worked well for her and for other people. If you're looking for more of a hormone steroid type growth serum, then Grande Brow is one that works. It's one that I have personally used. It's actually been recommended by Christy Stryker. Christy Stryker is sort of the brow master to the stars. She does Adele's brows in Beverly Hills. She was recently on a podcast called Breaking Beauty, and she said that for the last 15 years she's used Grande Brow with great results. So that is one. Babe Lash has also been known to work. I like that for my brows. I do like Grande Brow better. And then some people have just taken Revitalash or Latisse and they've used it on their eyelashes and then used it on their brow and have had results. So there's a few growth serums on the market. And then of course your natural castor oil could be an option for you. Beyond that, there are things such as microblading that you can look at if you're looking for a more semi-permanent. Now, microblading I have done. It's been about 6 years. You're supposed to do it every 2 or 3 years to keep it up. It is, as I've mentioned before, for me it was painful. It doesn't mean it's painful for everyone. I thought I had a pretty high tolerance to pain. Apparently not. It is literally putting a blade with ink. You know, you're slicing little hairs with a blade and then depositing ink into it. So it's a form of permanent tattoo. The color, like anything else, does turn over time. And again, it doesn't last forever. It lasts for, I mean, I think mine's almost all gone and it's been, yeah, I think 6 years. So that's an option. A less permanent option that's available now is called brow laminating. Now, this is one that I looked into because my hairstylist and I had a lengthy conversation about it. We were gonna just go do it together. And the more I looked into it, the more I thought, well, I think it's anywhere from $40 to $70 to $120 for the first time. And it's said to take about 20 minutes. It's like almost like the keratin treatment that we used to do when you would straighten your hair. Maybe you still do that. And it's a 2-step process where they comb your brows and sort of restructure the hair itself and pull it up. So think about it as a straightening treatment for your eyebrows, where it's a 2-step process. They comb your brows up, treat it, and they sort of stay in that area. Now they'll stay for anywhere from 3 to 5 weeks is the average. So for me, I thought, gosh, I could do that every day and it wouldn't take that much longer than to go pay and have some more chemicals put on my skin. So I'm not going to do the brow laminating, but it is certainly an option and a lot of people really do like it. Now, the fourth option for a more semi-permanent type brow treatment is to do brow tinting. It's like a semi-permanent hair color for your brows. So it's tinting the brows and you can go darker with all of them. It can cover gray brows if you have them, for example. So those are a couple options if you want to go to a more semi-permanent, permanent option. Now let's talk about your toolkit for your eyebrows. It's not an extensive toolkit, it's pretty simple. You're gonna wanna have a spoolie, that's smoothie, and you're gonna wanna have a spoolie, which most eyebrow pencils do have one of these on the back. I like to have one that's separate, a spoolie and a brush, and this will come in handy in a minute and I'll show you why. You're also gonna wanna have a pair of tweezers, which we will use sparingly. And I like the ones that are at the angle. I think those are just easier for me to work with. And then these are just tweezer mans. And then last but not least, I like to have an angled pair of scissors because this just makes it easier to get in and cut the hairs at more of a straight line for me. All right, so now let's get into the fun part and actually do our brows. So the new trend for 2022, as I said before, are bushier type brows, which is awesome. And you start that look by just back combing your brows. And that allows you to get the most fullness out of them and then brushing them up so that you can see if there's anything that just needs a little bit of a trim. Now for me, I've got, looks like 2 that have just had some growth lately that I do not want to have right there. And then I like to take the first probably quarter, 25% of my brow and comb it almost in the opposite direction. So straight up and then over to the other brow. Now, you guys have heard me say this before, brows are meant to be sisters, not twins. 2 brows should not look exactly alike. That's when it just looks a little bit too fake, I think. And it's hard to get the perfection of 2 exact eyebrows. So to me, I like the idea that they're not supposed to exactly match. So then once you back comb it, and it looks like I've got a couple on this side that are also much longer than they need to be. So we'll just clip those right off. And then taking that 25% of the brow and going a little bit more to the inside. Now here's where it gets really fun. Again, because my face is rectangle, I'm gonna focus on elongating my brow so that my face doesn't seem quite so narrow, so that it makes it look a little bit wider. And then I also want to make sure that I don't get too close in the center of my face so that I'm not making my face even more narrow. Now with eyebrows, you almost want to have two different colors, because just like your hair on your head, your eyebrows shouldn't be exactly the same color, and there's a few ways to achieve this. If you happen to have a lot of those little peach fuzzy hairs, for example, that's awesome. That is actually really nice. And if you can keep yourself from plucking those, then your best option might be to have a brow gel with some color to it. Now this is one by Anastasia Beverly Hills, and this just has a light brown color to it. And what's nice about this one is that it will help coat those little tiny peach fuzz hairs that I have and give them a little bit of color, adding to the brows that I have on my face. So if they're a little bit lighter, then this gives them that color. So I like to take that and just go everywhere with it to give it a little bit of color and to add some color to those peach fuzz hairs that don't have much color to them. That will add color, therefore giving the appearance of more brows. And remember, not many people are going to be so close to you that they're going to see that you don't have perfectly straight lines. So adding a little bit of color to that peach fuzz, whether it's on the bottom of your brow or the high side of your brow, is great, especially from, you know, any distance, which now we're all 6 feet apart, so it's perfect. Once you get most of the hair with some color to it, then you can go to a couple different options. You can go to a powder, which this is the Anastasia powder in blonde. You can go to more of a gel, or you could go to a pencil, which, you know, I love my pencil by Pure, or Stila is a highly recommended one. Again, this was one that Christy Stryker had recommended, is the Stila, because this lasts all day and it is a felt tip. I did test this in my waterproof video, which I'll link up here if you haven't seen it, and this stuff held up. So I highly recommend this one. It's harder for me to use every day just because it's the felt tip. I can't move as fast with it as I'd like to. And my brows probably deserve a little more time than I give them, if we're being truthful, when I get ready anyway. But this one by Stila is a favorite. And there's no right or wrong product for your eyebrows. It's really, what are you most comfortable with? If you're more comfortable using a really stiff brush and a powder, then you should go with that. Just find a color that doesn't exactly match your brow gel, but that still matches your root color and your overall hair color. Or you can go with, like I said, this gel. I like this one. It does stay on a nice long time. It's just a little harder for me to control. You can see I've made several attempts. Elf also makes a nice eyebrow pencil with a spoolie on it and a nice thin tip that allows you to create those individual hairs. I like the one from Pure, you guys know, because it has two ends. It has the thin point here, and then it also has a little bit more of a thicker point so that you can really define some lines. So that's the one I'll be using today. So next, now that you know what your brow shape should be based on your face shape, I just like to go in and start to shape them. So I'll go across the bottom, and I want to have a little bit of an arch, but not too much. And then I want the tail to end in an outward position, not a downward position. And I'll do that on the top and the bottom and sort of give the shape that I want. And then I'll go back in and fill them in with just some little hair strokes. You can see it just has the outline. And then I'll come to the front, because I do like to fake some brows in the front where I don't have them anymore. And when I'm faking brow hairs in the front, I will go and have a couple go in the opposite direction, kicking to the other side, just so that it doesn't look quite so uniformed. And then I'll go back and clean those up. And then everything else, I just do little tiny hair strokes, just to give the appearance that those are hairs and not a solid color where the eyebrow is. And just for fun, you guys, I'm going to use the gel, just so you can see how this is used. You'll want to get the stiff brush, that's a stiff angled brush. Just get a little product on your brush, and you do the same technique as I did on the other side. And this is where you can get really creative to help create the shape or arch or flat line that you want based on the shape of your face. See, and whenever I do it with this gel, I always wish I would stick with the gel, because I think it looks better. It's just a little harder for me to do. I do feel like it gets better lines, and I feel like I can do more hair marks with it. Now, if I have extra time to do my brows, then what I like to do is take this pomade and line the brows with that. And then I like to take my eyebrow pencil and go in and fill in the little hairs in those lines. I do find that when I use the gel inside the lines that I've created, it almost creates too solid of a color and doesn't give the appearance of hair. It gives just more of that solid color. And then I like to go back and comb them up in just a little bit of a way like that. And then just step back from the mirror and kind of say, all right, how is that looking? Where have I missed? Where is it not quite as thick as I'd like it to be? And having the outline in the gel and then filling in with the pencil really does allow you to have that multicolor that most hairs have. If your eyebrows are all one color, it can tend to look a little less natural. All right, so now that we've got our brows the way we want, we have a few options to keep them that way all day. I've recently reviewed this Tood brow, which I've really been loving, and I love it because they last all day, especially with this more bushy brow lifted look. This stuff has worked wonders for me. You get the brush wet, which I did, thank goodness. You put it on here. It's a brow soap, they call it. I call it wax, but it's their product, so we'll call it what they call it. And you just sort of brush it in the direction that you want to help it keep in that bushy type look all day. And then if that's not an option for you or not something that you're interested in, then you would want to set with a brow gel. Now, if you don't have brow gel, you can always just use a bit of hairspray on your spoolie brush and brush the hairspray through it to get the look that you want. So don't feel like you have to go buy a separate product. And then this is the same type of thing. You just comb it where you want it to stay. I can't tell you that there's a big difference between how this brow gel works and how the Tood soap wax works. I do feel like this starts to get a little bit, it's not as stiff as a look. This is a more stiff look. So if you're going for that soft glam, you know, really boom, awesome eyebrows, then you may want to go for something like this. If you're looking for a little bit more softer, my eyebrows are done, but they're not the star of the show, then this might be a better option for you. And then once you've got them sort of the way you want them and just assume that they're gonna freeze frame all day that way, then lastly, what I like to do is just take a little bit of a concealer and just outline the brow to clean them up. Now for that, there's a couple options. One, you can use more of a pencil. This is the Eyebrow by Benefit. I like this one because it's a little thicker and it's easy to just go really fast. Again, I'm all about speed. And just kind of highlight the brow that I just did on the bottom and the top. You can just blend that in with your finger or a brush. Just gives a really nice clean look to the brow. Make sure they're all up the way I want them to be. Or you can take your favorite concealer on a brush and just outline your brows again with that concealer. And last but not least, you could always take, if you have an eyeliner pencil, then you could also just real quickly take that underneath your brow. That is a less dramatic type look, but also gives a nice clean appearance to your brows. And then once I do that, I do like to go back in with my brow gel and just comb a few of those hairs back up over so that it doesn't look like there's a straight line between my eyebrow and my skin. I like to have a couple of those hairs up over. But I found that if I do my outlining with a concealer or a lighter color first before I do this, then I brush most of that away when I get this out. So I like to do this brow gel, then outline it with that lighter color, and then just go back and feather those hairs up over that soft to soften that line. While you've got this lighter nude color pencil out and you've done your brows, I love to use this on the outside of my lips just to give a little bit more light around the lips so they appear a little larger. A nice nude liner is such a good utility player in your toolkit because you can do so much with it. So I use mine a lot. So that does it for our brow tutorial today. I hope this was helpful in your journey with getting your brows to really look the way that you want. I know it took a lot of time to do this, but I promise you, once you practice, you'll get this down to a 5-minute routine. So thanks so much for watching. Please be sure to share this video with any of your girlfriends that might be looking for a new way to do their eyebrows or just experiment with some new products. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.